course is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
And welcome in, everyone. It's time for the Keeneland Look Ahead for the Sunday, April 24th program. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. Hope you had a great Saturday at the races today. The champion, Channel Maker, back. He's one of the headline stories of this week at Keeneland, the turf champion from a couple of years back, winning the Elkhorn Stakes today. And, of course, we also had the Ben Ally, where Scalding continued his hot streak, pun intended, for trainer Shug McGahee. So Saturday recap, we'll get right to it before we handicap the Sunday card. 2 wins on the program for Rafael Bejarano. He's had a nice turnaround after a slow start to the meet with a couple of wins today. Luis Saez continued a very good week. He had another pair of wins on the program today. Mike Maker's been hot all week. He continued with another winner on Saturday, winning the opener. We'll see if that role continues onto the Sunday program. And, of course, Scalding taking the Ben Ally, and the Elkhorn going to Channel Maker. We had a decent day in the handicapping block. We came up with 2 winners, and in our key plays of the day, we've got one of them home. One of our key plays in the 7th race was Market Rumor, and we were able to get that one home at $14.40 on the mutual. It really set us up nice into the Elkhorn with a chance at that Keeneland Turf Pick 3. We had 3 shots in there. I thought the speed would be a little bit stronger early and set up for the closers. Channel Maker was able to sit a little bit and finish up, and his class showed through. Our 3 options are in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, so sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Market Rumor won by a desperate no, so the racing gods smiled on us once and not on the other time. So we come into this Sunday card looking for a little revenge if we can here and close out with a big day for the final Sunday of the racing season here at Keeneland. Of course, the schedule next week will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So 4 racing cards left in Lexington for the spring meet. And, of course, we'll be back in the fall with Breeders' Cup implications as well to that fall meet. Hey, there was some news on the track this morning at Keeneland where the Toyota Bluegrass winner was back in action for his first workout since winning the Bluegrass Stakes. We're talking about Zandon. Let's pick up the workout from this morning. You can watch it for yourself right here on the Keeneland Look Ahead. This is a very important move for Zandon after the Bluegrass, moving forward towards the Kentucky Derby. And as you see, he'll start out here just kind of, loping along as horses do. They're coming up to the pole, if you will. This is going to be a half-mile move. You saw as he galloped by the red pole, the quarter-mile poles like that would have been the 6-furlong pole that he passed. So when he gets to the next red pole, that's going to be the half-mile pole 4 furlongs from the wire. And this is scheduled to be a half-mile workout, which is exactly what Zandon does every single time. He works a half-mile. This is his M.O., and he does it very consistently. You see, he's not pulling the rider. He's not being overly aggressive as he comes up to the pole here. That's what you want to see. You want to see a horse relaxed and taking their cues. When he's right now passing the 4-furlong marker, he's going to pick it up, as you see. So right beyond the pole, a couple strides later, he's into full flight now in race mode in his workout here. And he's going to pick it up and run, or work, I should say, in a pretty solid time, and a time that is representative of him. As we show you, he worked 48-3. That's 24th fastest of 92 works. His last 5 workouts, this is going back before he was the Bluegrass winner, were between 48-2 and 48-4. So extremely consistent. This is a horse who knows what his business is. He's coming along the right way. He's finishing up nicely. Just beautiful strides here in the morning. I know you're going to hear this a lot about horses between now and the Derby, how great they're working. very few will get negative comments thrown at them, and the ones who do will probably be horses who are a bit longer shots and ones that folks aren't looking at as their Kentucky Derby type horses. But I think Zandon is one who truly is working very well. This gallop out is exceptional. He's working well past the wire and galloping out very strong here. And the rider's easing up here as they turn to the backstretch. And this is what you want to see. This was a very good move from Zandon. And if you like Zandon's race in the Bluegrass, which you obviously should, you should like this work coming out of it, because I think he came out of the work every bit as good as he did going into it. As you see from the times, these are what he does. This is Zandon. This is his game. And he's on it right now. And I think Chad Brown's got himself a horse as they pull up here at the end of the workout. Highly, highly dangerous come the first Saturday in May. So that was this morning at Keeneland. Good job by the TV crew at Keeneland to get that this morning. And a lot of good workouts from Churchill Downs. Smile Happy was back on the workout tab this morning. The runner-up in the Bluegrass Stakes didn't work as well as Zandon, I didn't think. And Smile Happy might be going the other direction. I thought he got outworked just a little bit this morning by his stablemate, Tiz the Bomb. So, one Bluegrass winner, I think, ascending, one maybe descending at this point in the season. I would certainly right now feel better about Zandon's chances in the Run for the Roses than Smile Happy. Both two excellent horses who have futures ahead of them, but we're talking about peaking for the first Saturday in May, and there's only one Kentucky Derby. They've got their shot coming up on the first Saturday in May. Let's go to the big picture for the Sunday card, and let's get to handicapping this 9-race program. We've got a swing race in the 5th as we have a 9-race card. Swing races are those part of two different sequences. Race number 5 is part of the early pick 5, races 1 through 5, and then will also be part of the late pick 5, kicking it off on races 5 through 9. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is back, and doggone, I thought we were taking it down today, but it didn't work out in our favor. We got the single home, and we lose the 3 deep leg. That's the way it goes sometimes. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 will be races 5, 7, and 9. And you see in my key plays for the day, like yesterday, all 3 key play horses were in the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 races. I think 2 of the 3 races are ones in the Turf Pick 3 that are very interesting and ones that I'm going to need to have a good day. I got a pair of horses that I like controlling the pace in race number 5. Bill Mott's got a first-timer coming to the U.S. named Petrichor in race number 9 that I'm leaning on, and Mott just kind of, took us out in the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 today, so he owes us tomorrow perhaps with Petrichor after we were knocked out today by Channel Maker. And in race number 8, we've got a couple really nicely bred horses that run 7 furlongs on the main at Keeneland from Power Barns. I think we can just lean on those 2 offspring of Into Mischief in that spot. Those will be our 3 key plays, races 5, 8, and 9. We're going to get to handicapping and get rolling on this 9-race card. No stakes races. We do have 3 allowance races on the program. Should be great conditions for racing. The turf course was actually firm by the end of the day. I'm not sure we've been firm since that summer meet in July of 20 after the pandemic when we got a few days added to the racing schedule. A turf course firm at Keeneland is rare indeed. We had it at the end of the card on Saturday. Expect it to be firm on Sunday with temps in the low 80s. To the Keeneland Handicapper Selectors Box, we go for race number 1, and we can look across the way. If you're just new to joining us on the podcast, we take a look at this. It's the free selections offered at Keeneland.com from the Handicappers Consensus Box. We also have expert analysis from various handicappers around the industry on Keeneland.com that you can check out, clocker reports, and a lot of great assets for you to use in your handicapping. We show you the Handicapper Selectors Box because it gives you multiple picks in one easy view, and you can kind of tell which races look to be more wide open, which ones look to be locked in by the public. And I think, as you go to race number 1 and you look and see 4 different horses are picked on top in race number 1 out of a 7-horse field. That tells you it's pretty wide open. Wind at My Back is the top pick by Gabby and also by Tom Leach. I went to the 3 official business. Tyler Gaffleone rides this one. This is an offspring of Candy Ride. People know I love Candy Ride for years here at Keeneland. Candy Ride at the beginning of the main track era when we went back to the dirt 2014 into spring 2015 was the top sire here on the dirt. Candy Rides loved running over this dirt course. Over time, some other horses, sires came along and passed Candy Ride, but he's back with like a retro tour this meet. 4 winners this meet by Candy Ride. So you see that in the pedigree. You know those horses have some affinity. He's not throwing the kind of horses he did when he was a younger stallion, perhaps. But official business, first time started by Candy Ride. I'm going to give that one a shot. Tyler Gaffleone rides here, and he doesn't ride the Mike Maker horse, which I find interesting. Maker's got the 8 Are You Awake, and that's Luis Saez riding. Of course, Maker's had a great week here at Keeneland. But the fact that Tyler Gaffleone's not riding that one, maybe official business has got a little buzz about him. Again, I'll take the Candy Ride, a 4-year-old against some of the younger horses. First-time starter, took a while to get to the races. Not a huge opinion in this race number 1, as the handicapper selectors box tell you 4 of the 7 get a top pick. But I'll play the Candy Ride angle and Tyler Gaffleone not riding Mike Maker, and I'll go to the 3 on top in here as my top choice. To the second race we go, and as the card unravels, you'll see the pick 4 starting in race number 2 here. So races 2, 3, 4, 5, traditional early pick 4 spot. Second race on the card. This is another one that's tough to have a great opinion on. This is a competitive bunch in here, and I went with Tiwanot Pass. This is the horse for trainer Ben Colebrook. Gets Lasix for the first time. Last time got blinkers for the first time, so there's a couple changes to move this horse's game forward off of 3 career starts. 2 of them were decent. Once got trounced. The race got trounced was over at Turfway. This horse has run at Turfway in all 3 starts. We'll see if the form translates here to Keeneland. Ben Colebrook does a good job spotting his maidens here during the Keeneland meet, typically, especially in the maiden claiming ranks. I'm going to take a shot here with Gerardo Corrales, who's had a very good meet in the top rider over at Turfway. Corrales rode this horse last time. He stays through, and Ben Colebrook will saddle him. To the outside, I think the main contenders are the 11 Stravanger and the 10 Tonkawa Springs. But again, both of those are wide drawn at 1.16 miles. So tough for those outside horses to pop in there. My pick should be 6, 11, and 12. An error in the selector's box there. I forgot to upload the revised version, my edited version of that. So 6, 11, 12 is what I've got in a race, or 6, 11, 10, I should say, is how I see it in race number 2. This is another one wide open. National Security's got 2 picks. But other than that, you're looking at 4 different top choices again. But this is a big field of 12. So not a lot of strong opinions early in the card. Not a lot of heavy favorites. That's good if you're looking for some straight pool win value. Is it going to be easy to string together winners early on the card with wide open races? Maybe not. Is it going to be easy to go deep into tries and supers? Perhaps not. But if you can get a couple winners right off the bat, they might be overlay prices in wide open races where the public is kind of twisted in knots. And instead of getting 7-2, you might get 5-6-1 on some value type horses. So good races, I think, races 1 and 2 to maybe attack intra race, go right at them, try to pick a winner, get your day started, get your bankroll chugging along. If you do have a strong opinion, obviously, dive right in. But for me, my stronger opinions are later in the day, as you saw with the big picture, 5, 8, and 9. So I'm going to be midway through the card and at the end of the early pick 5 before I kind of really get something that's going to get my juice rolling and that I really want to dig into. So let's go to the third race next. It's an allowance race at 1.5 miles on the turf. We've had quite a few of these now during the race meet, these 1.5 miles on the turf. And I thought that this race was a race where McLovin was the one I wanted to lean on. Arno Delacour sends this one out with Joel Rosario back to ride. Rosario was at Oaklawn on Saturday riding the big Apple Blossom card. So congratulations there, by the way, to Latruska. Jose Ortiz was aboard. Latruska won the Apple Blossom, if you didn't see earlier today at Oaklawn. Of course, last year she was the Spinster winner at Keeneland, and maybe we'll see her back here in the fall in the Spinster again, and certainly aiming towards the Breeders' Cup Distaff later this year. So Latruska, the winner of the Apple Blossom today on the road. Joel Rosario, Florent Giroux, they are back at Keeneland riding on Sunday as scheduled. As we do our podcast here in the evening, travel permitting, of course, that the guys make it back on time. But everything's scheduled and planned that Giroux and Rosario will be back riding Saturday or Sunday at Keeneland. As for Jose Ortiz, he's got mounts booked at Aqueduct on Sunday, so he's going to be riding Aqueduct after taking the road trip to Oaklawn for today. This is a tough race number 3. This 1.5 miles. High Def to 3 interests me. There's a lot of good pedigree. I like to see Dynaformers and Galileos in the pedigree in these 1.5 mile turf races. We don't get a lot of that. The 7 Danville has the Dynaformer in there. I think you definitely want to consider Danville in this race. He's only run once over the Keeneland turf, so certainly could have some more affinity for the distance and the turf course back here for a second time. High Def was one, though, that has a router's pedigree by See the Stars out of a King Mambo mare. I mean, that's distance on distance. You could certainly think that the 3 high def will be part of this. A winner last out with no help at all on the pace. And Eddie Keneally, the trainers, had a great week here, a great 2 weeks. Week 2 and week 3 at Keeneland for Eddie Keneally have been outstanding. So the 3 high def is one you definitely have to consider in here. Giroux, the 4, is one who's got Mike Maker, again, who's had a big week. Maker had 3 earlier in the week. He keeps adding like single wins on the other days. I mean, he's consistently throwing horses here at the meet. This one has Tyler Gaffalione back aboard. So Giroux is one you want to keep in your consideration. But I went with the 6, McLovin, in here. Again, I like the Delacour Rosario team. This horse was just an arrow second-place finisher back here in October, so we know the horse can run over the turf and like it here. It's an Animal Kingdom colt who's got a little more upside maybe than some of the others, just 4 career starts. And Delacour's turf horses this time of year, you know, he's based in Maryland at Fair Hill, and his horses like this time of year are starting to get going. You know, he's not a big winter guy, Arnaud Delacour. It's kind of like spring, and his horses start to come out and hit the Mid-Atlantic region and the big stakes and races around that region and around the country. So I'm looking forward to McLovin, first start since February, coming back off the win at Tampa Bay Downs. And I'll take McLovin, but it's a race where you want to get some coverage in there. 6, 4, and 3, the way I had it in the third race. As for the other handicappers, Giroux gets some play, obviously. Danville, like we mentioned, has that the pedigree by Dynaformer, out of a Dynaformer sire, Temple City, who is by Dynaformer. So the grand sire, Dynaformer for Danville, certainly will like this distance, I think. And that's Gabby's top pick in here. Kim is also going with Danville on top. And hats off to Kim Nelson, who had a big handicapping day on Saturday. She led the public handicappers box, 4-win day out of 10. And I think her wins paid right at $30 or a couple cents less than that. So really nice day for Kim Nelson on Saturday. See if she continues the hot hand into Sunday. 4th race on the card, and this is where I think we've got the single. Exulting is the top pick by Tom Leach, myself, and also Kim Nelson. 2nd pick by Gabby. 2nd pick by Scott. I think you're going to see a horse who's heavily favored in here. Exulting is Tyler Gaffalione and Mike Maker. We've mentioned their name quite a few times already. Maker could have 2 or 3 wins by the time we get through the early pick 5. That's what he did on Wednesday. He won 3 legs early in the day. I had 3/5 of the early pick 5. Exulting looks tough in here. Classy runner. This is a starter allowance. Maker's won a couple starter allowance races on the turf already at the meet. He's got horses for these spots, and they're planned to run here. They can run, you know, protected in the starter allowance company. I think the Tapit runner, Exulting, the 8 horse in race number 4. I'm not going to try to get tricky in there. I think that's just a single. If you're playing in the intra-race bets, the 5 and the 4 maybe as some underneath plays there. But it should be Exulting as the one to knock off. Indian Gulch, interesting, as Gabby is on a complete island there. Nobody else mentions Indian Gulch anywhere, and Gabby has on top. So be sure to tune in tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, for Today at Keeneland with Gabby Gaudette and Scott Leach, and let's hear her case that she's making for Indian Gulch. I'd love to hear the angle there and see if there's not something we can jump on, but that's one you want to keep an eye out and listen for tomorrow from Gabby Gaudette. As for me, I think I'm just going to take the easy way out, as they say. Tyler Gaffalione, Mike Maker, starter allowance company, Exulting for me in the 4th race. To the 5th we go, and the 5th is that swing race. As we go back to the big picture, the swing race, part of the early pick 5, it's the final leg, and it kicks off the late pick 5. If you can have a good opinion in these races, this is where you want to try to attack, because you can utilize this horse in 2 different races in sequences. So if we have the single in race number 4, we think with the Maker horse. Race number 5, I'm saying it's a 2-deep proposition, as my key play here is there are a pair of pace horses at decent 5-1, 9-2 type morning line odds that I think can control this race. They're the 6 Post-Nup and the 9 Undisturbed. I think they're kind of dead even, in my opinion. I've got Post-Nup on top, Undisturbed as the 2nd pick, but I could have went either way with this, and I think they're the horses who run to the front and 2nd. I think Undisturbed's going to the lead. I think Post-Nup's going to sit 2nd, and it's just a matter of which one punches past the other. I don't think there's any other speed in the race. I think this is going to be a very easily run tempo, and with the firmer the turf gets, the more speed has a chance. We did have a wire-to-wire winner on the turf on the Saturday card, something we haven't seen hardly at all, if at all, during the course of the first 10 days of the racing meet. So I'm all over the 6 and the 9 in race number 5. I think they're going to control things. I think you want to hook them up in exactas. You want to play it on the 2 deep situation in the multi-race bets. These are 2 to key in on. And you've got a field of 10 in there, so if you want to dig into some tries or supers, I would, work obviously the 6 and the 9 in the top spots there, posting up and undisturbed. But for me, in race number 5, it's one of our key plays of the day. I think those 2, maybe the best 2 in the race period, and then they get the pace advantage where I think they're going to be kind of just out there, and the others are going to have a hard time catching them. So I'm on the 6 and the 9 in race number 5. The 6th race next up on the program as we take a look at the handicapper selectors box, and this is one where I think Fabricate should win. He's 2-1 on the morning line, but the barn, Jose D'Angelo, hasn't had success with his horses that have come north. If you watched the program yesterday and we talked about today's card, D'Angelo had one running that I thought was going to be dangerous. The horse turned for the lead, turned for home with the lead by about 2 or 3 lengths and ran out of steam. D'Angelo, very high percentage down in Florida at Gulfstream, especially after the championship meet has ended. He hasn't had the success bringing him up here, but he gets Irad Ortiz on Fabricate. I think this one's got, a good draw for a 7 furlong race, being on the outside in a 7-horse field. This is going to be like cat and mouse, right? 7 furlongs, the long run down the back stretch. You've got Irad Ortiz on the outside. I think he can just put the horse right where he needs to be. Second start off the claim for Jose D'Angelo. They claimed this horse off of Ian Wilkes, and Ian's going to be like really patient, take his time, runs first-class operation. D'Angelo gets horses and bang, they move up and quickly improve. I think he can improve a horse like this in a sprint race off of Ian Wilkes, and this kind of looks like it should be Fabricate's race. But the D'Angelo runners haven't popped and finished here at the Keeneland meet. So, I just think this one will get there and get over the top. Spiteful Charge, the 3 is probably the other one to watch, along with the 1, My Era. Phil Simms is the trainer of the 1 and the 3 in this race, and Simms does a really good job with 7 furlong horses at Keeneland. He has even going back to the poly-track era. It's kind of interesting, but he's got he knows which horses to run 7/8 of a mile, it seems like. Almost all of his success going back years at Keeneland, a decade plus, he has a lot more success in these 7 furlong races than at other trips. So the 3 and the 1 are a little bit interesting in that respect, and Simms gets Gaffleone, who's had a couple good finishes aboard Spiteful Charge. So the 3 would be the other one to consider in here. But I think Fabricate's the horse. But you look at that selector's box, and he's the morning line choice, and he kind of looks logical with Irad, and nobody else wants him. So I'm kind of thinking, he may be a little bit dead on the board. He might be a little bit better priced than he ought to be, or just maybe all my friends in the public handicapping world are, they all used Fabricate second or third, maybe a little bit defensively. Sometimes as the public handicapper, you got to give a 1, 2, 3, and the 1 is the horse you think it will win. A lot of times the second place finish is probably a logical horse, but maybe the price is too short and you're trying to beat him for a price. Sometimes the 3rd horse is just one you're kind of throwing in there defensively. Like, I don't want to look foolish and not have this horse anywhere because he probably will win, but I don't really like him, so I'm going to put him 3rd. I mean, I just kind of put you in the mind of public handicappers. Been doing this for 25 years, and it creeps into your mind that way. Sometimes you're like, well, it's a 3rd pick, right? So who's the 3rd pick going to be? Sometimes I'm going to include a horse who's dangerous, but I don't really like. It's not my 3rd favorite horse to win this race. It's more of a defensive pick. I don't know if that's the case necessarily with everybody else in here, but I could see Fabricate being that kind of horse for me if I was against him. I would be like afraid of him, but not really on him. But in this case, I'm actually on him, so I think D'Angelo is going to move the horse up, and Irad Ortiz should get the perfect trip, and that's what we're looking for in the 6th. 3 more races to go as we go back to the big board and show you that race number 7 next up. Starts the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So it's Keeneland Turf Pick 3 on races 5, 7, and 9. 7th race on the card is a Turf Allowance Sprint. 5.5 furlongs here, and this is a good group. These are some stakes horses, horses we've seen in stakes around the country. We've seen here at Keeneland in some of the big stakes, and a good group in here. To the picks we go and see where folks are spread around here. Oceanic for Scott Hazelton, the 7. Tom's got 2. Maven, the 8, 7 cents is going to be my pick. Inhalation, the 11 for Gabby, and the 8, 7 cents, also the top pick for Kim Nelson. So I'm paired up nicely with the ladies in here that 7 cents. Kim and I both have on top. Gabby's second choice in here. The case I make for the 8, 7 cents. This is the Brad Cox trainee who comes off a 4th place finish last time on the turf at Fairgrounds. Cox claimed this horse. It was with Carl Broberg. So first time running for Brad Cox. But the horse that beat him last time, Bound for Nowhere, is as good as it gets when it comes to turf sprints. And that was a really strong race. So I'm looking at the fact that 7 cents comes out of a race that was really high quality and just always fires. And this horse has been claimed and has gone through Broberg and Ron Fauché, back to Broberg, now to Brad Cox. High percentage trainers have been passing this guy around in the upper level claiming ranks, and he's a stakes winner of the Sam Houston Turf Sprint. So I like 7 cents in here. First time for Brad Cox, coming out of a very good race. But in these 5.5 turf sprints, post 3, 4, and 5, I harp on it a lot. The power post, you really want to watch horses in these post positions. Now, don't let the saddle towels fool you in this race because of the mutual entry. The third post position here will be Elusive Mischief. The 4th post position, Bullseye Beauty. And the 5th post position will be Turned Isle. Those are horses that you want to keep an eye on if you can make a good case for them. I really didn't like Elusive Mischief that much, but Bullseye Beauty and Turned Isle are both horses that I think can factor in this race. I made Bullseye Beauty my second pick. I've got Maven pick 3rd. Maven may be the best horse, the top horse in this spot on his best, but he is very inconsistent. First start since October. Irad Ortiz, Wesley Ward. Wesley in these turf sprints has been unbelievable at the meet. At one point, I think he won 5 of the first 6 that we had offered. And all of those horses were coming off of layoffs first start of the year. So when I mention he's making his first start of the year, it's more of a talking point. It's not a negative whatsoever with these Ward turf sprinters for sure. They're winning ad nauseum at the meet. 3 of them ridden by Irad. I don't like the rail, though, in a 12-horse turf sprint. That is a very, very tough spot to win from. So that's why Maven is he's a contender and he's a major player, but I wish he'd have a better post position. That's not easy to win from down there. So I'll take the 8 with the 5 and the 2, and I think this the 6, Turned Isle, who's also drawn well. Again, the 6 will break from post 5, but I think that Mark Cassie trainee can be in there. So 8 over the 5, 2, and 6, and this is a good race to go for the tries and supers, I think. So if we can get the 8 on top, maybe the 5, 2, 6 underneath in the tries and supers. And again, I would look at all 4 of those, 8, 2, 5, 6 as contenders in the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, because again, race number 7 is part of the Pick 3. Now in the 8th race we go. Next up in the 8th on the card is about 7 furlongs, and it's a maiden special weight. 7 furlong races on the dirt at Keeneland. One of the first things I look for is the sire Into Mischief. His horses have won more races on the dirt than anybody else at Keeneland since we've come back to this surface. But at 7 furlongs, they have an even more exceptional record. So these horses tend to love running 7 here. You've got the 11 Guest Speaker, horse who's going 7 furlongs by Into Mischief, trained by Brad Cox. Irad Ortiz rides. And you've got the 2 Exact Estimate, Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, and another Into Mischief. That one debuts at 7 furlongs. The debut assignment might be a little bit tougher. Guest Speaker is coming off of races where he has run, a couple times already, including at Fairgrounds, finishing 3rd last time out. When I look at this horse and say, which one do I want out of these 2 horses by Into Mischief? I'll take the experience. The outside post doesn't bother me so much going 7 furlongs with the long run down the back stretch. If it was 6, I'd be a little bit more inclined to think the inside horse might have the advantage with Exact Estimate. But as terms of my key plays go, I'm back to having these 2 Into Mischiefs that I'm going to try to anchor down on in a field of 11. It's Brown and it's Cox, but I think these 2, with good races around them in the 7th and the 9th, I think important to focus here, even with a big field. Just, I'm leaning on these 2, and I'm not going to go any other directions. The 7 Anarchist is a horse who's got a good race on the form. Field with Spread Eagle down at Tampa. But I don't think any of the horses that have run are any great shakes. Guest Speaker, the best of those who have run. Exact Estimate could very well be the one to beat. Race number 8, I'm just going to key on the 2 and the 11. and try to get through the multi-race wagers that way. Probably not much of a play intra-race with those two. If one of the odds is really appealing between the pair, if there's a good separation between them, then I think maybe a win bet in race number 8 on the one at the bigger odds. But the exacta and the exacta box, probably not going to pay that much between those two. So while it's a key play, it's more of a key play for the multi-race wagers to get us linked up in that late pick 4, late pick 5 with the dirt race in race number 8. Ninth and final on the card, we're going to see if Bill Mott's big turf weekend can't continue with the first-time U.S. runner named Petrichor. She's a filly by Frankel, the great Frankel, and out of a Dan Zilli mare. She's bred to be really good in the middle distances like this. She's Group 3 placed in France. She was runner-up in a Group 3 back last April. She hasn't run since September, but Mott got the Champion Channel Maker back ready to roll. First time off the bench and looked good doing it today in winning the Elkhorn Stakes at a 1.5 miles. This is a much easier test at a 1.16 miles. Petrichor is the top pick by Scott Hazelton, Tom Leach, and myself. Also picked in there with Gabby. Kim went another direction with Abscon. I could certainly see anybody taking Abscon in this race on the class drop, but Abscon just runs second and third a lot. She's a nibbler. She hasn't really had the knockout punch. She could against this field because it's easier than the one she has been facing. Sometimes horses get the reputation of their resume of everything they've done. But if they've done it against tough competition, when they get against easier horses, they might look different than what their resume shows. But there are enough races on the form with Abscon that you think she'd have, more than the 2 victories. She hasn't dropped it into the allowance ranks in a long, long time, though, and that could be what does get her over the top. But I think Petrichor, the classy filly coming over from France, first time in the U.S., she's going to be one of my key plays today, and I'm laying on that for Sunday's card. As part of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. Petrichor, I think you definitely have to lay on pretty heavily in here. The other one to consider would be the 6, La Chara. This is Brian Lynch, first time off the claim, a horse that he took off Mark Cassidy last time at Gulfstream. They go to Flavian Pratt, and this horse has had some excuses in some other races and has faced a little bit tougher competition in a few of them as well. But La Chara, the 6, should fit okay. But I think they've got to beat Bill Mott's first-time U.S. filly, that being Petrichor. That's going to wrap up our Keeneland look ahead for Sunday's program for April 24th. We've got 3 more days of racing after this, so our next appearance on the Keeneland Look Ahead will be Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern when we look ahead to the Wednesday program. Be sure to check out Today at Keeneland tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Scott Hazelton, Gabby Gaudette will give you the preview of the Sunday card with all the updated scratches and changes and a look ahead to the Clocker reports, Tom Leach's long shot of the day, and all of that. So on behalf of everybody at Keeneland, we appreciate you joining me on this Saturday night. I'm Jeremy Plonk. Good luck, and we'll talk to you Tuesday night as we look ahead to the closing week.